Knowing NFL discourse, but particularly Pittsburgh Steelers discourse, I realized that a lot of the blame for this Steelers loss to the Seahawks, mind you, the Steelers lost to a Seahawks team that's not particularly good to begin with, but is also without their best player, Devon Witherspoon. And in spite of that, I know that a lot of the blame is going to be thrown in the direction of rookie Kaleb Johnson. And he is, a key part of the loss. He's also a key part of the loss in the sense that he shows the structural issues of Pittsburgh, where they want to play an outdated style of football. They drafted Diet Najee Harris too high in the third, not realizing that, running back is not a very valuable position, and more so, running back is predicated extremely heavily on athleticism, which Johnson doesn't have. So he wasn't a great selection to begin with, but he also is problematic in the sense that the Steelers aren't utilizing him even properly. Putting him as a kick returner is ridiculous. He took 13 returns in his career, maybe 15 actually. I might be getting my numbers mixed up, but no more than 15 kick return plus punt return in 3 years of college. He took 2 returns in his final 2 years. So using him as a returner in a rookie situation is not a great idea to begin with, especially because he's not very athletic again. So there's a lot going on there, but beyond that, this is more so on Aaron Rodgers playing like he did the past 2 years of his career, meaning poorly. I'm not including the year he was injured, but the past 2 years he's played. He was banged up with Green Bay with a thumb issue, I believe it was, something on the hand. But he wasn't good in Green Bay his last year. He was bad with the Jets last year. The Jets had a better supporting cast than the Steelers this year. The Packers did in his final year as well. They allowed 8.1 yards per attempt for Kenneth Walker, and that's really great, but it's also really, really great when you factor in he was averaging like a yard a carry the week before, so this isn't even a proficient running game necessarily for Seattle, but they looked amazing against this Steelers defense that is predicated basically entirely, again, outdated principles on the front seven. So that, and they want to establish the run. They don't think they need a quarterback. They can just do it with defense that's not even good enough, and a run game. 3 yards per attempt on the ground for the Steelers. Also, Jalen Ramsey. We just need defense. Let's go after Ramsey, an old, great corner. That's what we need. He gets cooked by slot receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba deep down the field. JSN might have some proficiency on the outside, but it hasn't really shown in his career to this point in college and in the pros to this point. He's just been a slot receiver, so he's just getting outside now, and he cooks Ramsey down the deep middle late in the game. Steelers only scored 17 points despite having 2 interceptions. Patrick Queen, another big acquisition on defense, and he can't wrap up Sam Darnold on a standstill when Queen is sprinting at him free for a sack, one of the easiest sacks you'll ever see in the NFL. Darnold escapes and makes a big play on that ends up leading to great things for the offense. This is just a structural issue with the Steelers through and through, and blaming it on Kaleb Johnson is ridiculous. He should have never been in the position he was in. He wasn't the reason they lost. They weren't good enough aside from him. And in addition to this, TJ Watt, who came off a very mid year last year, but people ignored because they just like to think that, the player's as good as he always has been. So Watt, who's been great in the past, was mid last year statistically, but that got ignored, and again, that was on display this week as, he had some pressures on Abe Lucas being a bad linemen, but Watt didn't get a single sack, and he wasn't even being really double teamed or focused on. Basically, in any real extent, there were really never chip help, which is consistent with Watt. Teams don't really double team him. The stats bear that out. He does get chipped a lot, but he wasn't even really getting chipped too much in this game. So, sacks aren't the best measure. Pressures are for pass rushers, and Watt did definitely have some pressures, but to not convert a single sack against a bad tackle when that tackle was left on an island a lot of the time, it's pretty worrying if you're the Steelers and Watt. It's, a really bad look for them. This does show you the smoke and mirrors of week 1 against the Jets. That's probably going to be far and away the most points the Steelers score in a game this entire season. This is just not a good offense, and the defense is not enough to carry. So I don't want to hear Kaleb Johnson is why they lost. The reason the Steelers lost is because they haven't done a good job of modernizing, and that showed itself on full display this week, and I think it's going to continue to do so moving forward as well. So with all of that bleak stuff covered, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more football and or basketball content moving forward. And be sure to treat yourself like a friend. Thank you.